Well, howdy, friend.
Hey. I don't know what that was, but hello.
Howdy. We are doing a story take place right here in Texas.
Good old Texas.
And I just felt like we needed to say howdy. Howdy, everybody. Welcome to another week of Case Files with Kat
And Ashley.
And we're post St. Patrick's Day. We're post spring break. We don't have anything together any better. And I have kids screaming in the bath, so we're good. It's good. Yeah. Back to normal.
Yes.
What are you drinking over there?
Should I do the whole thing with my country accent? Well, I'm drinking.
Oh my God.
I'm just kidding. A Who Wants Cream. It's Who Wants Cream. It's by Martin House. Y'all, I really used to have a very thick accent. It wasn't until I moved to the city and people made fun of me that it started going away. Unless I'm really angry, like in the middle of arguments and stuff, it just comes out. Anyways, my beer. It's an Imperial Coffee Stout with no cream. It's 12% alcohol. To me, it literally just tastes like coffee.
It does?
It tastes like, if you are familiar with just coffee stouts, that's literally what it tastes like. There's no flavors really to it. It's
all right.
It's coffee, but I love the can art because it's got Super Troopers scenes on it.
That's great. That's awesome. And I'm drinking, it's a Shiner beer. I know it's not totally craft, but Shiner Tex-Hex. It's an IPA brewed with cactus water. Ooh, tastes just like an IPA. There's not much to it. I might have to get up for another one later. But I can do that now that we're in person. I can be like, you just keep talking.
Just talk amongst yourselves.
So I hear we have a voicemail.
Yes.
So I'm gonna play it early. Hope that's okay.
Sure. The world is your oyster, Cat.
I'm like, I don't have a question of the week.
I feel like I don't breathe as heavy ever in my life until we're sitting here doing the show. And I'm just like...
Breathe over here.
Just go stand in the corner and just come back when you need to speak. Go on.
Okay, we have a voicemail from Janet from March 9th at 8:36 a.m. Good God, woman.
Hello, Janet Cohn here, longtime listener and fan. So a couple of things. The Mackenzie story. Wow, what a zigzag to get to the final killer. That was, almost kind of like, wow, out of the blue. And me too, Ashley. I'm pissed he's about to get out of jail next year. I don't like to wish harm on anyone, but I do hope that revenge is sweet if someone can get their hands on that guy next year. Another shout out, way to go, Kat. It seems like that's the first time I heard some clips entered into the show. So way to go. Really great upgrade. And love the show as always. Keep them coming. Bye.
Yay.
It's always so good to hear Janet's voice.
If you don't know how to leave us a voicemail and you're just like dying inside to leave us one, you go to our website, which is Case Files with Kat and Ashley, and you can leave us a voicemail, and then we'll play it for all to hear, unless it's rude, and then we'll just cry. But, feel free. Either way, that's how you leave us one.
But we'll tell everybody it was this person.
Yeah, we'll tell everyone that you were rude, but we're not going to play it.
Oh, I love hearing from you guys. So yes, please leave us a voicemail. Would love to hear it. So I'm just gonna get into our story. Okay, yeehaw. So yeehaw. Well, actually, this is a story based off an event, and it's based off an event that Ashley, my co-host, sister from another mister, and the other Ashley and Sarah was supposed to go, but she couldn't. She got tickets for the rodeo, but whatever. And so Ashley, the other Ashley, and the other Ashley's friend Danielle joined us to go to one of the most haunted locations in Galveston, Texas, and it was the Ashton Villa. So I'm going to let you describe what you thought we were getting ourselves into, and then I'll get into like the story.
What I thought we were getting into?
What you thought.
Well, based on the description for this event, it said we were going to the...
Do you need this
no,
thing?
I
memorized
read the description a lot beforehand because I was super excited. It was supposed to be a haunted tavern where the descendant of Ichabod Crane was taking us through a haunted tour while we make interactive cocktails. That was what I thought we would be doing.
And then, okay, so...
Based
on context clues, our guests, our listeners can understand that you did not get what you thought was going to happen.
Okay, it's not just what I thought was going to happen; it's literally what the website said was going to happen.
That's true. Okay. That's true. The descendants of Ichabod Crane
was going to walk us through an interactive ghost tour while we make cocktails or whatever. Yeah, that is what I thought was going to happen. Yes,
but nay,
no,
nay to all of that. So
nay to all of that.
Nay to all of that. That did not happen. So we walk into the Ashton Villa. It's this gorgeous 3-story brick building, and I'll get into it a little bit more. But it was not that. It was not that.
No, I mean, it wasn't even, we didn't even walk into the house really itself. It was like a what would you say, like a room?
It was the ballroom of the original house. That was the actual.
Okay. I was gonna say, because that's all we saw.
Right.
We need to tell you, on the way there, we did a lot of research and we were really excited. All wasted, but go on.
It wasn't totally wasted. I mean,
the research was wasted, is what I'm saying. Not the trip. The trip was great.
Okay, yeah, the trip was great. All right, so anyway, so we thought we were going to have cocktails while we were walking through this haunted mansion. We ended up in its original ballroom. It's a gorgeous location. It would be great for a little wedding. It's, for a 3-story house, it was something. But then it looked like they had stage lighting, so it was lit for a nightclub, I guess. Wouldn't you say that?
I would say the lighting and the music,
and it was like...
it was definitely nightclub vibes happening.
Not like a lot of bass, but it was like... and then like the ethereal music kind of going on.
Yeah.
And then there was just like this stage. It had a little stage, and there were... just a few pieces of set and decor. So like just the props. There weren't a lot on the stage. A couple of wine glasses and a couple of, bells. There was a music box. There's a couple little things, and they all sort of came. Maybe about 30% of what's on the stage actually came into play. Yeah. The rest of it was just for like looks.
That's a very high number percentage for what I think that's actually used.
Oh, really? Well, okay. All right. Maybe 20%. There wasn't that much on the stage.
Yeah.
It was just, it was made to look. But our host was the storyteller, and his crew were the ones making the cocktails for a room full of people.
Yes, and I tried to do a Facebook Live, but his people were super serious about no cell phones whatsoever being present during this event.
And we know that he's from Vegas and that he has a shop, or did he have some kind? He did some kind of research.
He's an occult scientist, researcher.
That's it.
I don't think researcher. He had a shop, but he said he was an esteemed occult researcher.
Those were his words? Esteemed?
I'm pretty sure.
Oh, wow. Okay, I don't even remember that. I'm going to have to...
I tried to look him up, and I could not find him, but I don't know that I was spelling his name correctly.
Okay, well, that's all right. And so some of the cocktails, we had 4 cocktails, 4 stories, 4 cocktails. And it started out with Doctor's Orders, a creamy blend of cake-flavored vodka and Irish cream with a syringe of strawberry puree. And so you took the syringe, shot the strawberry puree into the shot of vodka and Irish cream, swirled it up, and take a shot. So it's a shot. The next one was Crimson Gemini. It was fresh squeezed lemonade mixed with cucumber-infused vodka, mint syrup, and cucumber water. That was delicious, I thought. It was very light and refreshing. Final Encore, which maybe should have been the last one. Or what? Yeah, that wasn't the last one, was it?
No.
Okay, so the Final Encore was not the Final Encore. Pineapple juice combined with fresh squeezed orange juice and coconut rum, topped with LaCroix pamplemousse. Sure. Don't even know what that is. And the Haunted Tavern Martini was a signature drink of the tavern, a secret recipe of various chocolate liqueurs shaken with cocoa and cream. And that was delicious. That was basically chocolate shake.
Yeah, to me, it tasted just like I was drinking a Snickers bar. It was so good.
Yes, it was. Buttery. That's it. It was peanut buttery, and
I would have liked it if it had been like a little chilled, but it was still extremely good. And was the cucumber one the one that had the raspberries in it?
Yes,
that was good.
Yeah, I mean, I thought they were all really delicious. I would not order them if they weren't given to me. Not a single one.
Yeah. I probably would have ordered the chocolate one if
you saw it.
But the others were all right.
But anyway, so we digress. So the drinks were good. The ambiance was they were trying for something. I'm not sure what, but they were. It was like a one-man show, and so I'm going to tell you a little bit about the story. I'm going to tell you about 2 of the 4 stories.
2 of the stories that are actually true,
or not
as, but exist. The people exist.
The people existed. This is about the people who lived in the Ashton Villa, and so then then there was 2 other stories that I'm not sure if he wrote, but I'm pretty sure he might have written them.
According to him, the one story everyone on the playground of Texas knows.
But that's not true. It was some crazy pinhead thing. Anyway,
Black Rose Willie. Jeez.
Nope. Can't look it up. Google it. Nothing. You're going to get a Willie Nelson song.
I know.
But one of the things that really made this whole thing a horrible thing. Well, no. Number one gripe was he never mentioned that he was a descendant of Ichabod Crane.
Like, they literally never once explained anything about Ichabod Crane and why he was attached to the event.
Why?
It's literally the first sentence on the event page.
Hear from the descendants of Ichabod Crane. Yes, that's it.
Descendants. And there was only one, and they never mentioned anything about him.
So that was, but that didn't ruin the event. I was like, okay. And then the second thing was there were some rude ass people sitting behind us. They are uncultured. They've never been to a play or anything. It was like every sentence this poor man spoke, they had a retort, and it wasn't funny. They were like class clowns. That's what she said. I mean, just
and these were
adults.
And they knew that they were annoying people because literally the boyfriend was like, what's their problem? And she was like, it's my talking. And then she just continued to talk louder.
She was whispering like this. Anyway, so if you're listening to this podcast and you were at the Ashton Villa on March 18th at the 9:00 show, and you were sitting in the second row middle and you were talking a lot, then we're talking about you, and that's okay. You don't have to listen to this podcast anymore because we're gonna bitch about you probably all night.
I'm all for people enjoying themselves, like they pay for the event, but like at least respect the people around you and like let them enjoy what they paid for.
He was not a comedian.
I know.
He was doing a play.
Well, you know what I mean? Like
doing a performance. Shut up.
I'm just saying,
guys,
like,
I'm all riled up. I'm gonna bitch about this all night. I'm gonna talk about it.
They were extremely. And the sad thing was their parent. This adult couple had their adult couple parent that I guess was their parents there, and they were just as bad.
I had to apologize. I had to. I was like, I am so sorry. And anyway, y'all get it. Y'all get it. You would never do that. No one listening to the show would ever be like that. And all you theater kids, you understand. It was insane. It was insane. I was trying not to get in a fight. Anyway, so about the Ashton Villa. So what this gentleman actually was talking about was actually some really cool things. The story really was, the first two stories centered around where we were, that mansion, that beautiful, beautiful mansion that looked scary as hell. When we walked up there, the windows were floor to ceiling, like literally floor to ceiling, which made them great in the summer. So you got a lot of breeze, but it was just but it had the lace curtains that I kept expecting to move and show somebody up there. Like that's all closed.
I did expect to see like a face like staring back at us. It was so creepy. I took a bunch of pictures of the outside in the windows and like some of the scenery and stuff that we'll post. And we have a picture in front of it of Kat, Ashley, and I. And so we'll get some of that stuff posted.
Awesome. So a little bit of history about the Ashton Villa. This is really about, this is Texas's first famous mansion, especially in South Texas. So the story begins with a man named James Monroe Brown. He hailed from New York. He eventually left New York and as an adolescent in the 1830s and made his way down south and ended up in Galveston. And so this was during the last days of the Texas Republic. So Brown in his mid-20s by then arrived. He had money in his pockets. He had property. And he had a business partner that he didn't really jive with anymore. But he decided to open up a hardware store on Market Street in 1847. This is all in Galveston. So in 1848, Brown married 16-year-old Rebecca Ashton Rhodes, who was born in Philadelphia but grew up on the island. The couple wasted no time and they started to have a family. She gave birth almost immediately to their first 5 children. Five, which is really crazy in that time.
It's really crazy now.
I mean, just
no offense to y'all that have 5 kids.
I was like, oof. So she was 16, 6 months after their wedding. So in December, they had their first child. They got married in April. So they were, hitting it before that wedding date. On January 7th, 1859, Colonel James Monroe Brown, he was, again, the hardware store owner. He was a banker previously. He purchased 4 lots at the corner of 24th and Broadway in Galveston. What's happening behind me?
Nothing.
Look, I'm already scared.
The cat. The cat. I saw the cat.
We're talking about ghosts.
Sorry, I saw the cat. I apologize. I love animals, and I saw one.
See her, like, her eyes go.
Sorry. I'm so sorry.
All right. Edit that out in post, Jason. All right, here we go. So on the corner of Broadway and Galveston. So still this is exactly where it is. If you're driving down Broadway, it's this huge, beautiful home. So he modified some plans to make this home. It was a 3-story, huge building. He used his slave labor. Yay! And European craftsmen, and he built one of the first brick structures in Texas. It was certainly the first one in Galveston itself. So this is the first home, first homestead. So it was built in the Victorian Italianate style. long windows is one of the signature markings of that, from floor to ceiling windows. Ornate verandas. The brick walls were made 13 inches thick.
Damn.
Yeah. So they were doing that as to protect against humidity. That's probably why it has withstood so much. But it also added strength for storms. So it was laid out and designed around that central floor plan. So if you walked into the main hall, everything kind of is surrounding that, where the staircase is sort of in the middle, right? She named the home in honor of one of her ancestors, Lieutenant Isaac Ashton, a hero in the U.S. Revolutionary War.
Oh,
I know.
That's
I know. So the upstairs bedrooms had two things that Galvestonians, Texans really had never seen: custom made closets, fancy, and indoor plumbing.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, girl.
Yes, queen.
Smart.
Yes, queen. So out back was a separate building, and it also composed entirely of brick and mortar, and that had the kitchen, laundry, and living quarters for their 4 slaves. Awesome. And then a third structure was their stable for the horses. So I wonder how much of all of that was still there, because I know that we were in the main house, and then there was that separate building.
I definitely didn't see a stable.
I didn't see a stable, but they could have repurposed that, but I don't think so.
I don't know what it would have been, because there's so much built up around it now.
Yeah, that's true. And maybe where that ballroom is. No, that ballroom was always there. Yeah. Okay, so the Ashton Villa cost a pretty penny in those days, $18,000.
Which is what today?
I don't know. You want to look it up? I have no idea. $18,000 in 18 something, 58, 59. So it was ready to go. It was open for the Browns to move in, and they hosted a New Year's Day party for the island's elite on January 1st, 1860. So that's not the only reason, and it's not the only thing that happened to this house and why it was such a big deal. When the American Civil War began in 1861, the home became headquarters for the Confederate Army, and it served in the capacity for the entire war. How much is it in today's time?
Oh, I don't know. What year was that?
Oh, I thought that's what you were looking at.
I know, but I was waiting for a moment so you could tell me.
You looked up at me. It was $18,000.
I'm so sorry for being involved in the story.
She's scrolling her phone, guys. She's scrolling her phone.
I'm not scrolling. 1860 money. I don't know how to.
Okay, never mind. Never mind. I thought that's what you were looking up on your phone. Okay, so oh my God. Mm-hmm.
You guys love us. She's so happy we're recording in person again. It says $18,000 in 1860 is equivalent in purchasing power to about $615,287.71.
71 cents. Okay, now I'm going to continue. All right, so in 1861, it became the headquarters for the Confederate Army. It served in that. Oh my God!
I just need to know if I'm allowed to look in your direction. Continue. I won't. I'll look at Kevin.
Are you done?
Yes.
Are you done?
Are you done? Okay.
I can be done.
Okay. Oh man, continue.
I can be done. Okay, I have to repeat myself for the third time. The home became the headquarters for the Confederate Army and served in that capacity for the entire war, except for a brief period in the fall of 1862. So at this time, Rebecca Brown took her daughter Betty and her older brothers John and Moreau to Houston for the duration of the Civil War, while her husband stayed in Galveston to take care of business. Now, even though he was from the North, he contributed to that Confederate cause. So that's just awesome for that guy. In the fall of 1862, Galveston was surrendered to the Union Army, which made Ashton Villa their headquarters. So the Union's occupation was short-lived, however, as Galveston was retaken by the Confederates during the Battle of Galveston in January of 1863. Lots of battles in Texas. So, in really sharp contrast, most people with money in Texas at that time who were fighting on or aiding the Confederate side, were pretty much ruined by the war. I mean, just almost everybody. But Mr. Brown was not. In fact, he was the first resident of Galveston to receive a pardon and have his citizenship restored. Oh, yeah, he was not considered a traitor or anything like that. So great. But 5 years after, he was worth more than $250,000 and the fifth richest person in Texas.
Damn, son.
I know. So Brown had also fathered his last two offspring. Rebecca gave him a third son, Charles, in 1862, and a second daughter, Matilda, who went by Tilly 3 years later. And to the dismay of her big sister, Betty, Tilly was married off to a man almost twice her age in 1884. And I'll get into her just a little bit. So the end of the war, although claims have been made about Ashton Villa's central role in the end of the Civil War and the end of slavery, there's a little bit of contention in those assertions. There are some people who say that it was because this family wanted to be known for something more significant, that they were the place of the end of slavery of Juneteenth, where the Juneteenth Proclamation, Emancipation Proclamation was read. But there's some other people who say that's not exactly what happened. So, but on June 19th, 2006, a statue of Al Edwards named Unknown Legislature was dedicated on the grounds of Ashton Villa, and there's an annual prayer breakfast that happens there. On June 19th, if you are not aware, this is the day that the slaves in Galveston, they were the last ones to find out, 2 years after the 1863 Emancipation Proclamation. So it took a while. It took a while to get to Galveston and for them to read those words. And so it's become a Texas holiday now. It's officially a Texas holiday. And every year there's the prayer breakfast, but there's also the parade, and everything happens in Galveston.
Yeah, they
on
do
that
a
day.
lot down there.
Mm-hmm. And even in Houston, it's really just become a symbol as the end. It's like, that's really the end. There were really... The slavery ended at that point. But there is a placard of the Al Edwards, who was a legislator. I think he was just a congressman, a state representative from Houston, who was the one that read it. They say he read it on the balcony, but that's disputed. But they still do have a 9-foot tall, it's really tall. It's really tall.
Is that the statue that was out there?
That's the statue that was out there. Yeah. And so even though he died, his son continued to have the breakfast and all that kind of stuff. So it continues. And after, of course, so 5 years before, Brown had died in 1895, the husband, but tragedy was going to hit the island again, and there was the 1900 storm. And so this is one of the biggest storms to hit the island. It's very, very famous. We actually did a story about it, about the orphanage, and that's just the most horrible picture in the whole world, is of the nuns clasping arms and hands with the children to save them from drowning. There was just a lot of death on the island. Mm-hmm. And so there's so many stories so many stories all over the island in multiple buildings.
Pretty sure everything's haunted in Galveston.
That's what it feels like. And I was just we were driving through there and seeing these old, beautiful, beautiful old houses that have been refurbished or redone and renovated. And I just was wondering, like, man, some of these houses really had to go through it. They're just, I mean, they're still standing, but lots of people died. Lots of people.
Yeah.
So the house, Ashton Villa, even though the storm was really, really bad, the house withstood it, and because of those thick brick walls. So immediately after that storm, Brown's widow, Betty, and her sister began to take care of people who didn't have anywhere else to go. And it was really the shelter. So even though they were these really well-dressed and they had jewelry on and whatever, even though they were just this really wealthy family, they still really did give back. And there was an old poem written about them, about the Brown sisters and how much they did for the community out there. In the storm's aftermath and grade raising of the city, its basement was filled with sand, and the surrounding grounds were topped with 2 feet of soil to keep that area safe. The home was actually sold in 1927, and it was a Masonic lodge.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
When we were there, it actually has a line on the outside of the building where the water was from the storm, right? Isn't that what we saw when we were looking at the front doors?
Was it that, or was it Ike? Because
I just remember it was
got 18 inches of water during Ike. So that was the most recent.
Oh.
Yeah, Ike got damaged a lot. And so they had to redo it. I just
remember them having that marker out there of how high the water got.
Yeah, so I think that was Ike. Oh. Yeah, I think that was Ike, because that really, so they had to renovate the house again. And that was in 2007, 2008. So the Masonic Lodge had it for a little while. And then there was it served as some offices and everything. And then in 1970, it was put up for sale. It just started to get really torn down, and they were gonna demolish it in 1970. But the Galveston Historical Foundation raised $125,000 and bought it and saved it. I would have loved to buy that house.
Yes.
Had indoor plumbing already.
I don't know that I'd want it with the spirits that you're going to talk about, but
we'll see. So with additional funding from local foundations and government, they refurbished the whole home, and much of the original furniture and art is in the home.
I didn't know that. That's cool.
It was really cool. The decision was made to open up a museum, and then on July 25th, 1974, they opened its doors to be a place where people could visit and see. Because I mean, it was the first brick home on the island. Yeah. It was 2008 for Hurricane Ike. It was submerged under 18 inches of water, and that had to be redone as well. So to the ghosts. So the first ghost that I'm not even going to say descendant of Ichabod Crane. It's like the first ghost the host talked about was Miss Betty Brown, and she grew up rich as all hell. Like they were just super rich. There wasn't a lot of money at the time, and they just had a lot of it. So it was the haves and have-nots there was a lot of difference. But she had all the goods, all the privilege, and she was really seen as the Texas's princess. Yeah. And she was a free spirit. She loved travel. She loved adventure. She smoked cigars. She went alone to Morocco, Jerusalem, Egypt, China, and India. She was fiercely independent and never wanted to get married, never wanted to have children. She was happy as she could be, living her life of just being this. She was like my spirit animal.
I mean, all the things she was doing are things that were not common for women back then.
She was holding parties at the house by herself, and she was like, "Yep, this is just me." She wanted to socialize. She liked it. She didn't care who was talking about her, and that's just what an amazing person. She caught people off guard by smoking in public, and she was really into cats. So I really love her, but she was really into cats, and so she let kids and kittens ride on the tail of her dress, and she would ride around with them on her dress.
That's cute.
She's so cute. And she had really curly hair. Yeah. She had this she was just beautiful and cute, and just, man, her traveling around the world at that time, she must have just had some experiences. I'd love to sit her down. She really loved to paint and actually studied art in Paris. And that was one of her favorite things to do, was to paint. So some of her art is actually still there. I don't know if I have all a
Ouija board where we could summon her and ask her these questions if you would like.
No, I'm good. Okay, so Ashton Villa is actually called one of the most haunted buildings in America, mostly due to Miss Betty Brown. They also think that her sister Tilly is there, but I'll get there in a little bit. The ghost of Betty Brown has been seen standing in the gold room. We were not in the gold room because we were in the ballroom, but she is usually standing in the gold room, standing at the top of the staircase by her day room, which is where she spent most of her time because she didn't have to have all the corsets and all that kind of stuff on. So in her day room was where she could just let the tatas go and and then at the top of the staircase was near the day room. So that's where that was. And then there's a lot of piano playing, and they think that maybe it was from a recital, but it was her sister who was really into music. And I'll get into that later. People on tours have reported feeling a presence joining them on the tour. A chest of drawers purchased in the Middle East stands in Betty's room today, and it reportedly locks and unlocks by itself, even though there has been no key for decades, like a long time. They've never been able to locate this key. Ceiling fans have been known to turn themselves on. There's one bed in the house that refuses to stay made. They will fix it. Everything looks great, and they'll come back later and it's all crumpled up again.
No, thank you.
Nope.
I will say our host of the evening claims that when he tried to open the dresser, it was unlocked. Isn't that what he said? It was unlocked?
He said it was allowed to open it. I think that was for the scare. So then he said he found these 2 wine glasses that didn't look old, and they were 2 wine glasses. He says, so maybe we'll see Betty here today. And then crash, they broke.
The other Ashley almost beat herself. We love you, Ashley. I think she definitely had the most jump scares of the evening.
I jumped at that one.
I did too, because I was not expecting that. I will say I did jump with that one.
I was expecting all the other ones that after that, though.
I was on edge after that.
I was ready to be scared, which was why those people talking behind us pissed me off so much. Because I'm like, I want to be scared. You couldn't get into
the story with them,
Shut up.
Yeah. But the glass shattering, guys, it really was unexpected. And it made us all jump.
And then he goes, this is going to be fun. I was like, you're a jerk. He was great. I enjoyed it. I had a hard time.
We are talking a lot of mess, but we really did actually enjoy it, even though it wasn't what they said it was going to be.
I guess how do you describe that in a way that makes people want to go? If you're like, come and listen to this guy tell some stories, and we're going to serve you drinks in between. It doesn't really come across as something like as fun as it actually ended up being. And plus 4 drinks, dude. I mean, all right. Anyway, so the ceiling fans have been known to turn themselves on. One bread refuses to be made. The day room, incidentally, was just her favorite place. And that's where most people can see her and have seen her. Even the people who work there during the day. Doesn't have to be at night. This is like just where they see her all the time. So like I said, there wasn't the only thing. It was during the Civil War. This was at headquarters during the Civil War. And so there is talk that there were actually Confederate soldiers that have been seen marching through the house. And here comes Kevin. It was used as a hospital for some time. And so there were soldiers who died in that home. And so there are sometimes soldiers on the grounds or moving through the house. I'm really glad I didn't see any of that.
I know. Can you imagine just not knowing any of this and then just seeing a Confederate soldier like walking by the window?
No, that's why I stopped
it was
looking.
Part of the show or something.
That's why I stopped looking in the windows. How much?
I actually should look back at the pictures. What if I see something in the pictures? Ooh.
No, see. No. Okay, so ghost number 2, Miss Matilda Tilly Brown Sweeney. I don't want to put the Sweeney at the end, but there you go. So Thomas Sweeney and Matilda Brown married in 1884, and the trouble didn't take long to start. He was twice her age, which is sort of like being married. They're just marrying you off. Here you go. Here's my daughter. I wonder if he got any money for that. Anyway, so Betty really hated it. And so she was still living in the home. But Matilda started to experience an incredible amount of abuse from Thomas Sweeney. He was both verbally and physically abusive, and he even caused their children to scatter and hide when he would arrive home from work each day. The abuse was seen and known by the maids, family members, neighbors. So when Betty went door to door gathering eyewitness reports of the abuse for the divorce proceedings, as evidence, Thomas was shown in his true light and even failed in his attempts to keep the home that he and Matilda or Tilly lived in. And she also kept custody of their children, which is unheard of. Now it's like, well, of course the kids stay with the mom, but
wasn't it? She got his children from like not just her children, like his children from
She got all the children's. And she got all the home. So she got to keep everything. Because he was a scoundrel and nobody liked him.
If it makes you feel better, I just looked at the pictures and I don't see faces in any of the window.
So, so back in the time, so again, like this Victorian marriage laws that a man would gain ownership of the woman's properties and inheritances while married. So by their own laws, he was supposed to get everything, and they ruled in her favor, which is insane. What?
In this one picture, it kind of looks like there's someone in the window, but I don't know if that's like a reflection of somebody. Like the one where the three of us are standing in front, and that guy was taking a picture of us. I don't know if you can see it from there.
Nope, don't want to see it. Nope.
It's kind of like a person in the window. It's like a woman. So much. Well, you're gonna see it because I'm going to post it. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right. So if you're looking at Miss Betty and you're looking at Miss Tilly, you couldn't find two more opposite people. And our ghost host actually said this, where Miss Betty Brown, she was a badass Betty, traveling and all this kind of stuff, and Tilly was just really the opposite. She was very quiet, very mild mannered, and so when she was safe, she moved back into her childhood home into Ashton Villa, and then never really ventured far from there ever again, unlike her sister.
Yeah.
So she's just being very careful, I guess, after that. Like that's enough. Thank you. guys,
I mean, I'm sure it was
not
traumatizing.
interested. I mean, yes, but she was safe, and I think that, you know, with her sister and her cats, and then those kids, I think that she was just happy being in that home that was safe, and she didn't need to go anywhere.
Yeah.
And there's just some people that are okay with that, and meanwhile, I'm like, I need to travel. I need to go somewhere. I need some stamps in my passport.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah.
So I'm like, we're planning a trip. I don't know where we're going, but we are planning a trip. Okay, so some of the hauntings, and I don't want to look at that picture before I tell any of these.
Okay, good.
All right, so one of the Ashton Villa tour guides reports that she saw a beautiful golden-haired woman, Betty, in a turquoise evening gown, holding an ornate fan, standing on the second floor landing. That's the first floor.
Yeah, this picture is from the first floor.
And is it a golden-haired woman in a turquoise evening gown holding an ornate fan? No.
I can't tell what it is. It's like a disembodied figure. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know. You'll just have to like look at it.
All right, I'm not going to do that right now. So Lucy Testa, who was a former manager at the Ashton Villa, states that on February 18th, 1991, the mansion's alarm went off without a cause. That's a big no. Nope. Later that same day, she closed the mansion, and she noticed that the ceiling fan was on at the top of the stairs. She turned it off, but the next morning she found the fan on again. She later discovered this date, February 18th, was Miss Betty's birthday. A whole lot of nope. Just a whole lot.
Why did she turn the fan on for her birthday?
She was hot.
That's a weird birthday celebration.
Like, I'm
going to celebrate by turning the fan on.
Imagine, though.
Oh, yeah, I guess it would be hot, yeah.
Well,
there's probably no central AC in there.
Hello. It's also, what is this thing?
I bet, yeah. I forgot they didn't have ceiling fans.
They didn't have ceiling fans. She was the first house with indoor plumbing. Come on.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so a caretaker residing in the carriage house was awakened from a sound sleep. Did I say that right?
You said it right the first time.
You know, when
it sounded
words,
weird the second time at the first
words
time.
just become sounds.
Listen, I'm still stuck on the feeling sand. I'm like, what is that? I want some
feeling sand. That's called a spoonerism. So awakened from sound sleep by the sound of piano playing. Whoa, I hate that. Fearing a break-in, he went to investigate, and the music was coming from the gold room. Expecting to confront a burglar or a vandal, he quietly slipped into the room, and there at the piano, he saw a faint image of a woman in 19th century attire. A mere moment later, both the figure and the music faded. The caretaker was later quoted as saying that he turned on every light in the house and remained awake for the entire rest of the night. Yikes. A publication of the Galveston Historical Foundation states that, quote, Miss Betty never learned to play the piano in life. She was an accomplished painter whose works were on display throughout the house, but her sister played both piano and the violin.
You know, I wouldn't be upset if the ghost that was haunting my house was a musician.
Right?
I don't think I'd be upset.
Unless they were, like, bad.
Yeah, but if they were good, like, I'd be like, yeah, just do it. Do your thing.
Well, our ghost host said that as soon as anybody even notices that there's music playing somewhere, it stops.
I still wouldn't be upset by it. Like, that's
like, I don't hear you.
Of the things that a ghost in my house could do, playing the piano or violin or like painting me a random picture, is the least of.
What if it was like the Friday the 13th, Friday the 13th music?
I would still be good with it, you know?
Nope, no, you wouldn't. Guarantee it.
I mean, as long as it stayed where the piano was, it wasn't like following me from like room to room. You know what I mean? Like if I just randomly start hearing it in the shower, that's a different story. Like in the middle of the night while I'm sleeping, that like in my closet. That's a whole different ballgame.
All right, more hauntings. Civil War era soldiers have been seen by staff both inside and outside of the house. I'm so glad we didn't see any of those. Those are the ones I was most afraid of. During the Civil War, the Ashton Villa was also a hospital for Confederate soldiers. So there are rumors of the sound of soldiers marching through the house.
We wouldn't have been able to hear any kind of marching or piano playing over that club music they had going on. The music did not match the scene at all. It was great. It just didn't match I don't know what vibe they were going for at all.
I'm going to enter it in, I'm going to in post have Jason enter in some of the music, because I did get some of that on tape. There's a rumor going around Galveston Island that Mrs. Tilly Brown Sweeney had something to do with the death of Mr. Thomas Sweeney. Oh, I know. Dun, dun, dun. He died at the Tremont Hotel, also a very haunted location. The entire island is haunted. Yes. Again, people, if you go to Galveston, if you want to come for a visit, you can stay any number of places and they're going to be haunted. The Galvez, for sure. And then the Tremont House is another one. Anyway, so 10 years after their divorce, he died. And it's widely believed that this is entirely fabricated, but it is still a rumor that his death was listed as natural causes as his cause of death. But it would be like, it doesn't make sense. Like, why after 10 years after their divorce, he had nothing. He was almost penniless. He had nothing and no one. Like, why would she try to kill him at that point?
Because he's a dick.
It doesn't, no.
If she did it right away, it would be super obvious.
But like how, I mean, yeah, he was
a long game, Cat.
He was he was a huge drinker. He killed himself. He did that to himself. He was a very bad alcoholic who was abusive and a bad man. And so, if that's the rumor, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. Yeah. It really doesn't. She barely left the house. Like, what is she gonna do?
Kill a man?
Betty might.
Yeah,
Betty
that's true. I would believe it more if it was Betty.
That's what I'm saying. Betty might be like, you know what? I don't even like seeing you in my town. Yeah. This town is not big enough for the both of us. And so I think that's totally possible. So those are some of the hauntings. It is, like I said, is considered one of the more haunted places in Galveston, but anywhere you go in Galveston, there's a story, and some of the buildings are historical and have either that they survived the storm of 1900, which was just devastating to the island. If they did survive it, it is a historical marker, and there's stories, so many stories. And then there are other places that made it through Ike, and Ike was also super destructive on the island, and especially on the Strand, you can see the lines in some of those restaurants. And it goes up. Some of them past me. They're much higher than I am.
Ike was the one that totally wiped out like the whole island, or like houses and everything. Right? Like
no, Ike was in 2008.
Which one was the one that got rid of like
1900?
No. I'm okay. Never mind.
Yeah.
That's for another day.
That was the bad one.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure Ike also leveled a ton of houses on the island. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's not it. Matagorda, maybe?
I don't know.
There was that one little strip of little...
My apartment building collapsed.
Boulevard Peninsula? The Boulevard Peninsula? I can't say that.
My apartment building collapsed, but I was in Alvin. I wasn't in Galveston.
Oh, wow. There was a lot of damage. I did a lot, but it didn't destroy the whole...
My apartment building was haunted afterwards, for the record.
Really?
It was in Alvin, so I don't know. There's a lot of drug addicts in Alvin, so, it's hard to tell. Drug addict, spirit, Just to be honest, I lived in some shady places.
That's for another podcast. Anyway, so that is just, oh my God. And she keeps hitting the table and the mic and all. There's so many.
Look, guys, this is why I can't do things in person.
I'm going to tell Jason. It's all that sound that you hear is her hitting the table.
I'm just going to lean back and just not make any other sounds for the rest
We love you so much.
You won't hear me for the rest of the podcast.
Thank you for listening. And if you're still listening, then we know that you love us. We appreciate you. Ashley, you want to tell them how they can follow us?
Are you done?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad.
I don't know what's going on.
I thought you were still talking and I didn't want to make any sound. So I was leaning back in my chair so you couldn't hear me on the microphone. You can follow us everywhere. Facebook, Instagram. We do have a TikTok, even though there's like literally nothing on it yet. I'm trying to figure out what to do with that. I'm a kind of old guy, so like I just want to make dog videos on TikTok. Our website is Case Files with Kat and Ashley. That's where you can leave us reviews, comments, voicemails. On Facebook, you can send us story of the week or question of the week ideas, story suggestions. If you want to send your own story, if something has happened to you or in your hometown, we'll cover it. Actually, Kat, was it the Mackenzie story? So we do a lot of stories that people send in to us. So, feel free to send them to us. If they're long enough, we'll do them. If they're not, we'll do an episode one day that has all the short stories.
Yeah, and the other Ashley, if you want to leave us a voicemail with your takeaway from the evening, then yes, please do, and we'll play it.
We are planning to do an actual ghost tour all together of Galveston, so we'll be sure to record that one. Hopefully those people are not on the tour with us, because I will lose my shit if that girl shows up to that tour. If you're listening to this episode, don't do any ghost tours. I don't want you there. The one I'm talking about, the girl behind us.
Are you high? Okay. All right, everybody. We love you, and we'll see you later. Bye.